What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Trailer Time. Your host, Mohit and Jamell, here to be on the other side of an opposing versus series episode. Today we have the age-old rivalry, Marvel versus DC. Before we get into it, I just want to say don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and when you subscribe, hit the bell icon to get all the notifications of this great content we have for you guys. Jamell's on Team Marvel, and I'm on Team DC. Let's get the biggest one out of the way, or let's get the biggest one in time to talk to. That would be movies. Jamell, what do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for giving me this win. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be real. Marvel has more characters we love. Avengers is arguably, not even arguably actually, the best crossover of all time. You know, one of the things we talk about with Marvel is the fact that you can fall in love with, you know, like Black Widow, and then also laugh hilariously at Thor all in the same movie. You just don't get that with any like Batman or Superman movie at all. Like, think about this. We were sad as shit. We're still sad right now. R.I.P. Tony Stark, for real. Like, no one even remembers that Superman is dead. Superman's dead right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Came back to life, but go on.
Marvel, we have better actors in Marvel Universe. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul. Don Cheadle is in a Marvel movies, ladies and gentlemen. And it's more consistency. We get the same actors all the time. There's no reason that within 5 years span, Ben Affleck and Robert Pattinson playing the same dude. It's absurd. I want my money back. Also, sidebar, X-Men has some fantastic movies in their arsenal. I know they're a little hit of a miss, but I mean, you know, some of those movies are really good. Also, the original Fantastic Four is a good movie. Prove me wrong.
Again, as a superhero comic book fan, I will never discount huge impact Marvel Studios and the MCU has had in my life, in cinema in general, and the genre in general. It's been life-changing, game-changing. Obviously, they deserve all the respect. And when it comes to DC, the latest offerings have been a little better than what came before it, but it hasn't really washed away the bad. Regardless of what happens moving forward, I think one thing needs to be, DC has still given us the greatest superhero movie ever made in The Dark Knight. And people tend to forget that DC really started the whole superhero movie genre. You know, we had the original Burton Batman movies, Christopher Reeve Superman, and without that, I don't think any of the later Marvel movies that come, like X-Men and then MCU, laid the groundwork for those. Even the Dark Knight trilogy, some could argue that those movies laid the groundwork for the MCU kind of launching off. You know, they chose Iron Man because he had some form of a similarity to Bruce Wayne, a rich billionaire who had a lot of money to use. I think that needs to be said. I will give you consistency, whereas DC really kind of does do a hit or miss. They try to bring on good actors. They have Margot Robbie, Will Smith, Jay Courtney, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, but they somehow fail to utilize the fullest potential. And now they're straying off away from the cinematic universe, going in their own like branching off multiverse direction, which I think is going to be a great avenue for them, because I think they were trying to copy something that they didn't have the right formula to copy. So I think we can agree it's a tie for different reasons between Marvel and DC on the movie front. You know, let's move on to television. I think that is where the sides really switch.
To be honest, Marvel TV, not great, not the best. However, some high points to the low points. I actually think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a really great spinoff. Also, let me give a shout out to the first season of Luke Cage, which I don't think gets enough credit, but I actually really liked it. Great soundtrack. That's a good point. Great soundtrack. I have no idea how they just completely dropped the ball in the second season. Let me say something about DC. And I know you're about to come in and ride these dudes super hard because they have like stuff on CWS and shit. All right, cool, whatever. But they have done such a bad job of creating a cohesive storyline and timeline and like just universe on TV that it's cool. All right, cool. Like you have a more popular TV show, but nobody remembers what the show was before that. What characters fit into the universe related to the previous show. Like, these are completely different timelines every single time. Also, let me just say that Marvel, we haven't even had to enter TV because our movies are that good. People still watching our movies on TNT, bro. No one's going to CW.
Personally, and I think for like similar reasons that you used for your Marvel movie argument, I think DC has definitely won this battle because it has created a very extensive television universe in the way of having multiple shows. You have Arrow that started off, Flash, which is one of the best shows on TV for a while, Supergirl, you got Black Lightning, you got Legends of Tomorrow, which is so consistent. Every season is really good.
Okay,
it's
Legends
so funny.
of Tomorrow, I'll give you.
I haven't seen
show.
Stargirl, but I've heard good things. I haven't seen Batwoman. It's opened the door for a lot of obscure TV shows, like Legends of Tomorrow and Stargirl, that wouldn't have come if we didn't have this expensive universe in play. After the huge, big positive impact that the Arrowverse had, we have gotten some more obscure shows like Swamp Thing, like Titans, like Doom Patrol, and then you also got Pennyworth, one of the most iconic characters of all time in all of comic books, and you're getting his story. People want to see that. And then you can even count the Watchmen TV series on HBO as a DC property. So you got Gotham City PD, which is the same continuation as Matt Reeves' The Batman, and we're both very excited for that movie. Check out our trailer review on our YouTube page and the trailer on our Instagram. And I think a big part of television that I think our generation forgets is animation. DC has and will always reign as the kings of superhero animation with iconic gems like Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, Young Justice, Teen Titans. We got the newest Harley Quinn TV series, which is actually really funny. It's safe to say that DC wins this battle.
We're all about the big screen, all right? You can have cable TV, bro. No one wants this to it.
I mean, you say that, but Disney recently did a restructuring where they're focusing a lot of their efforts on their streaming services. And then I think finally the last medium, and arguably the most important because it's what started it all, is comic books. For me, growing up reading comic books was a huge important part of my life. That's how I got into superheroes in general. And I'm personally grateful to have read stories from both sides. But as I grew up, I started leaning towards DC because I liked their storylines more, darker, realer, grittier.
First of all, I have tons of respect for DC Comics. First thing I want to point out, the whole darker theme, I don't know what kind of angst that you have, but I don't think we should be celebrating alcoholism and crime and all the stuff that's prevalent in DC Comics. Why can't superheroes have somewhat of a lighter theme? There's plenty of places for darkness and death and whatnot in both these universes. We see have it in both. But for some reason, DC has this fetish. Also, I do think that Marvel has done a better job of adapting their comic book storylines to, especially movies. Also, we have Stan Lee, so that's a win point. But I absolutely adore, and I think it's fantastic how Marvel is based in real places. Real people, real settings. Where DC, for some reason, they decided to go with the make-believe place route. That's fine. Also, let's be real. Superman and Batman carry DC Comics. If we're looking at gross profit, there's the top 6. Yeah, Superman, Batman, totally. First 2. The next 4 are way more diversity. We have way more superheroes to talk about. Y'all have to talk about the same story, killing the same dude's parents over and over and over again.
How many times have they killed Uncle Ben? I will say over the years, in terms of diversity, DC has championed it with African American characters, LGBTQ characters. Let's look at Justice League, the show. They chose an African American Green Lantern and became a huge deal. There's so many storylines going on for that. Now, when it comes to gross profit, Marvel probably does have a winning hand because of how big their impact in the movie industry is. So people just generally want to read those comics. But I think DC definitely knows how to keep readers engaged by churning out interesting storylines that people want to look at. When it comes to DC Comics, I feel like there are a lot more titles people can look at. Yeah, you can look at X-Men and Avengers, but then in DC, you can have a Justice League comic, but you can also have Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Nightwing.
Oh, sorry.
Red Hood.
Can you please speak on Green Lantern, please? I just would love to hear your opinions on Green Lantern and Ryan Reynolds. Love to hear your...
Yeah, I thought that I was hoping that would go unnoticed at some point. But yeah, I will admit, Green Lantern, one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen.
I think what you're also leaving out that I think is important is that we make better, other than The Dark Knight
And obviously I'm on Team DC, but I just want to say, obviously what Black Panther was as a revolution, can't knock that effect at all. Always got to remember what that movie was and what it represented. Thank you, Ryan Coogler. Again, thank you, Chadwick Boseman, RIP. So, there you have it, everyone. You heard my side on DC, Jamell's side on Marvel, on movies, television, and comic books. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. So, Jamell, what would you give DC? Overall, their movies, TV, comic books.
So, for my rating, I'm going to give DC as a whole, overall, a 6.3 out of 10. It's not that great. Your argument, however, is very good, my friend. I think you brought up a lot of points that I hadn't really thought about. I didn't realize how impactful watching shitty TV was for all of you guys. So, I definitely don't want to take away from that. So I'm going to give it an extra point. I'm going to give it a 7.3.
Let's see. For Marvel overall, obviously, the misses in TV don't overshadow the hits in the movies. And obviously, I've read a lot of great comics. So I'm going to give Marvel overall a 9.5 just because every single movie I was there.
Killing it!
First day. I literally would never not watch one of those movies on the big screen. Your argument, you didn't really bring up anything I didn't know. So, and it was alright, I'm not gonna say you're bad at it, but you didn't really make me rate it any higher than I already did. So I'll give you a 7.5.
I'm gonna pull a Dumbledore, and I'm gonna Neville Longbottom you, because I'm gonna give DC and your argument an extra point each,
okay.
Because The Dark Knight means so much to me. So I'm gonna give DC now a 7.3.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna give your argument an 8.3. Good job, my friend. You get a B.
Thank you again. Hope to catch you next time.